I'm Ariana Luxury Homes, and I'm with Pearson Smith Realty.
When you create relationships, it's you and your client.
Yeah.
It's real, like, and this might ruffle some feathers, but I don't think people hire
Brands.
brands.
Right.
I think they're hiring people
Yeah.
and the relationships that they've built or the reputation that they've built.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, at least for the most part. I'm sure some people will just look up a certain company, but that's not the majority of it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think to build a robust business that has longevity, you have to become a referral agent. Are referrals the only thing that you would utilize as a, longtime agent? No. I am 100% referral, but that's not my only lead source.
Yeah.
Like doing things in the community, meeting new people.
Yes.
You always have to you can't just rely. And it's so funny because I think I hear this a lot and it makes me sort of giggle that people teach agents to be referral agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in their minds, when they're young in the business, they think like, if I could just like really hit my friends and family, like I'll be successful. And you can be for a period of time, which is a cycle. If you sell a house to every person that you know, it's going to be a little while before they want to buy another house, right?
Yeah.
Most likely, but they'll refer you to other people, right? That's kind of the lifeblood. But then there's got to be like a whole other really robust side to things.
100%.
Right? Yeah. Bringing in new experiences.
And so how do you do that? You say that you connect in with the community. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, I have always made it, I have a service heart, they say, because I think it's just because of the way I, grew up. I went to school at Madeira in Great Falls, right? And very like women, girl empowering. And I have always volunteered and always been a part of my community. That's a part of the curriculum for Madeira. So I took that always. I have always volunteered. I have always been a part of my community. I have always done things that were passionate to my heart because, and I'm sorry, I hit the microphone there. And I'm very animated when I talk, by the way. But I do things that are passionate to my heart because I have to live very authentically. And if I'm not living authentically, servicing my business authentically, bringing myself into the community authentically, I really am not a happy person.
Yeah, so it's like that's just a value that you were raised with and around.
Totally.
So it's part of like who you are. You keep saying the word authentically. I've got to show up authentically. I've got to be authentic. I've got to and that's such a buzzword. How do people find out really who they are as a business owner?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question because I think people start with the really famous why, right? That's like, whole giant corporations are built on that exact phrase. What is your why, right? And that does get you far. I mean, to some extent, you're like, most people will say like their family, their friends, their community, stuff like that. But then you really have to like dig in, right? It's not, the only driver can't be your children. The only driver can't be that you just like are like success hungry, right? The driver has to be something more rich, right? Is kind of how I would describe it.
And how did you discover what that was for you?
Yeah, so just painstaking changes, One element of my personality is that I just try to grow and change and bring in, I think I've said this metaphor already in this interview, but bringing in new information is always really healthy and good for you, challenging. And so as we all do, I've made some changes in my career over the years, becoming more, which is like a deadly term, but like self-focused, right? What is going to give me longevity, right? I think at this point in my career, I don't probably ever want to rebrand ever again, right? Yes, I am done, right? And so, right, exactly. And that's why it's, why my branding is so very, very personal. It's Ariana Luxury Homes. It's not the team, the group, it's just me, because I know I can live that authentically forever until I, die in an open house. Just kidding, I always say realtors like never, die, they just fade away, right? So
Well, tell me a little about branding, because branding seems very near and dear to your heart. Like,
yeah.
what is that? Because a lot of our audience, they're small business owners, they're the community here in the
Yeah.
Loudoun County area. What is marketing and branding? What does that look like for you? And why is brand and reputation so important?
Yeah, when you put it together, right? When you're working, and perhaps you're working for someone else's brand, right? Maybe if you're a small business owner, perhaps you were with another business owner at some point that inspired you to be your own business owner, right? And so I think just, essentially, you have to establish yourself as, as a brand that you can stand behind,
Yeah.
That I kind of like went off the
Your
deep end
brain
there with
started going somewhere else. I know where it
totally.
was doing. I know I've done that before, where you're like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
Right, right. Well, right. I just feel like, you need to kind of, if you're going to brand yourself or you're going to brand your company, you have to do something that you're going to truly identify with, and that you can, bring out to the community in your elevator speech, so to speak, so that's where I was kind of going with that. Is even if you are under a larger brand, perhaps when you do want to develop your own brand, you've learned some things that you maybe like don't want to do or do want to do as you bring that into your future brand for business owners.
And so for business owners, relationships, anything where you
Right.
get into multiple of that thing. So
Yeah.
like, we get into relationships and we're like, well, I know what I don't want,
Yeah.
right? But I did kind of like that aspect of it. So when you get into the next relationship, you're like, oh, that was a red flag. I know I don't like that, so don't get that into that again. And for me, I feel like that's kind of been my own journey as I never worked for, well, I did partner with another photographer actually before, and I kind of helped him build up his business. And he was an amazing mentor. He taught me so
Not to say that those
much.
people didn't teach us like a ton of things, or that somebody that you identified with as a respected business owner don't influence us. They certainly do.
100%. And so I learned so much. But along the way, I did pick up on some things where it's like, for him, it's been like 15 years since I've even seen him. But for him, his business relied on like 2 to 3 key clients. They were the biggest clients that he had, and they paid 80% of his income. I remember thinking, I don't ever want that. I don't want to ever feel so reliant on like 2 to 3 clients.
Yeah,
so it's
that
like,
would be scary, because if one went away, that would be a large part of your business. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like stuff like that where we learn. So then even my branding, my marketing, my business development, I was like, okay, no, I want to build something big. And how do I do that? And how do I identify with the right types of people?
It's funny that you said the no's, because I was just talking to a new client, and I was just like, we just need to like get you in the car and go out and do, we need to see a bunch of no's. And when I mean no's, I mean like, oh, I get out there and I'm like, no, I don't want that. Or you know what I mean? It's a lot of no's when you first kind of start going through something new, until you kind of figure out what are the yeses for you. That's branding. And of course, I am by no means a brand expert. And so I had looked to other people in my network and enlisted a brand expert, marketing agency called Elevate It Now.
I was going to say who did you work with?
Yeah, Elevate It Now. It's Monica Malave.
Is she national or is she local?
She's national, and she's actually pretty prolific. She is also a brand.
Prolific, that's a big word.
Yeah, she's like an Adobe brand ambassador. She's like, really, really big marketing person. And so when I first enlisted her, it was like the beginning of the pandemic. It was a whole other thing. Like we never even met each other in person, except for having met each other in the past through like some networking. And we worked a lot remotely during that time. And so yeah, I was kind of lucky in that I did a lot of the branding during that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like a
When everything was
really
kind of
seamless
quiet. Yeah, I was gonna say.
transition, right?
Popped
Because
right out
I
there.
even had many clients that kind of say to me like, "So, like you're like doing your own thing now." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so like they subtly noticed over time, but it wasn't anything dramatic. I'm not all about the drama. Anything that you're going to do in your business, for my business, real estate, is going to have an influence on your business for like 6 months in the future, even if it's a good decision.
Yeah. Explain that.
Just like making changes in your business, right? Even if they're positive changes, right? They do affect you in the future. Like everything we're doing right now is affecting our future business. I mean, we're going to eventually put this out into the universe and hopefully the end result is that it affects, your business, right? So good or bad, you're casting the die in the water now by the actions that we're taking.
That's something that I coach my team and other small business owners that I am friends with when we have conversations is if right now you're sitting in the suck of your business and you're like,
Right.
why
Sitting
do
in
I
it.
have no clients? What's going on? Look 3 to 4 months back.
Yeah.
What were you doing then?
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously you can quickly pick up the phone, you can call people, you can text people. So yes, like if you're a hustler and you've got that type of like grit, you
It
can
doesn't
do
even
that.
matter if you're a hustler. No person, man or woman, superwoman, 5 full-time jobs, that we cover, everyone needs a break.
100%. We all
Or
need a
you
break.
will
Burn
break.
out.
You will
But I'm
break.
saying like
You will take
everything.
a break or you will break,
I like that.
Yeah.
Take a break or you're gonna break
You're going to break
one way or
because then
another.
something is going to completely overwhelm you. And then, you like fall off the curb, you know, texting or something. And then you're, an injury always. Like I always know if I'm doing something, I'm super distracted. If I
Really
injure
slow down.
myself,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, yeah,
That's
wow, I
gonna
need
happen.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, slow down.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point though, is yeah, like as a business owner, if you want a successful future, you gotta start now. None of
Yeah. Or
this
like
like
just start.
yeah, just start.
Just
Correct.
start.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like go look back at my first videos and you will see how much things have changed.
Since you
You
just
just
started.
have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one of your biggest, not necessarily regrets, but if you could go back and do it over again, knowing now what you know in terms of business?
Branding earlier. Branding earlier, just being kind of, maybe, I've worked over the years for a lot of great brands and
Mm-hmm.
companies, but like was I making Coldwell Banker, richer? Who was I servicing? I don't like to feel like a worker bee,
Yeah.
and if I get that mentality that I'm like a worker bee, then I'm like not, I'm like, no, I really feel authentically like I am really, and I'm so sorry for grabbing this microphone again, but right, like
Yeah.
just
Well, because you're a real estate agent. Real estate agents go into business because they want to serve their clients
completely
and their people the way that they see
run
and
my
feel
own
best.
business. Yeah. Yeah.
I always thought that was an interesting model.
Yeah.
The right because it's like you never truly are allowed to do 100% unless you're a broker. But even then, you've got like stipulations that you've got to like
Yeah,
work
right
within.
now in my life, I'm a broker too.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
run brokerages.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been in the business since 2001. I went into new construction with Brookfield Homes in 2001. In 2003, I got my general brokerage license. In like 2008, I got my broker's license. So I have
So
like
you are a broke. I didn't
I
know
am a
that. That's
broker. But when
awesome.
you work under a broker, Pearson Smith, right?
Yeah.
I'm an associate broker. So anyone you see with that associate broker,
Yeah.
we are all broker licensed.
Got it.
But when you work under a larger broker, then you become an associate broker.
But it's an interesting model, the real estate like industry, where I know whenever I would partner or work with real estate agents or I do like content for them, you gotta put that whole like
Yeah, there's a
piece
lot
at
of
the
that. Some
end
are more
and
than others for sure,
yeah,
but there are those I think are also like state and federal requirements as well.
yeah. But
Um,
no other. or very few other industries. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah, full disclosure with lenders,
yes,
or people, I
you
think
have to do
insurance
that.
people kind of
That's
have to have
big.
those disclosures like that as
Yeah,
well.
that's interesting. So marketing and branding is something that you would change
Yeah,
if
I
you could
kind of
go
wish I would
back.
have branded to just
Okay.
something Ariana anchored, years earlier, because I truly think I could have, maybe built out something, pretty robust in this time frame. But
Yeah.
you don't know as a young agent, like where your business is coming from or how to, now I feel like the younger agents coming in, people are like, treat it like a business and do all these things that are like a business,
They're
right?
teaching them like correctly how to get
Maybe
started.
better
Yeah.
skill sets, right?
Yeah.
For me, I felt like it was,
Here's your business card. Now go get some business.
yeah. And that business card, I have some of those photos where they literally lined you up with a Polaroid on the wall at the Long and Foster,
Oh,
which
nice.
was the first office because it was right across like the street from my house. Like these
Yeah.
are the things,
Now you made your decision.
not
You're
like
like that
tactically,
one.
right? Totally. I was like, oh, I could walk there, Yeah. And now it's so, so, so different. This my business is so strategic and so intentional and so like planned, and who I want to affiliate with in
Yeah.
my business and who I want to represent my business is so, so different now all these years
Why
later.
does that matter?
It just matters because of your reputation,
Tell me about reputation.
yeah, being, your reputation in real estate. I mean, you're already working against stereotypes about real estate agents, right? And so for me, it's super important because my business is about helping people really like unlock their equity, move into something that's going to be a nest egg for them, empower themselves to get out of rentals, have peace of mind if there, certain things that they want me to do with their real estate or be an advocate for them, or just be able to be a resource for them in the community. Like who I work with in that capacity matters.
Yeah.
And so like let's just not say like it's so dramatic, but like one bad review,
Yeah.
but it could be, some of those things could be really detrimental to your reputation and to your business if people think that, you're not truthful, you're not really looking out for them. Because I think a lot of people in the world today are pretty much like, people are going to do bad things to them,
Yeah.
and when you're talking about somebody's largest asset,
You don't want to put that on the line.
absolutely not. I want people to truly know that like everything about the experience is sacred to me. Their privacy, our ability to communicate, our ability to work well together and pivot if we need to, right? I mean, good real like easy real estate is like, people who got into the business and over the pandemic or things like that and think that real estate is really easy really don't have a super, super long-term career, because I'll tell you, a lot of what we do is very like, psychology and counseling and finance. I mean, there's a lot that we do. We take into it as a entrusted, I think, relationship, so I think all of that is really important.
One thing I want to touch on too is when you're talking about reputation, this is really big to me in terms of like who you align with yourself with really matters, because when I recommend or I affiliate with this person, my name is on the line. So when and I hate it when this happens, but if they do something not in alignment with my values, the person that doesn't know me very well, they see this person and they're like, oh, I'm pretty sure they're connected with Aaliyah, so I think Aaliyah's
Yeah,
probably like that as well.
does she accept this kind
Does she
of
like that too?
shenanigan? Is this something that she's okay with?
And it was
And
really
then you're
hard.
like, oh my
Like,
God. Yeah,
no, but you don't want to come out there and be like, hey, just FYI, I don't like, that's not me. So it's
sure.
such a weird dynamic.
Yes, it
And even
super
with the whole
is.
cancel culture that happened, right? And I don't really want to get into that, but that really made it evident where it's like people almost started expecting you to come out and say, no matter what it was, whether it was a local connection or something on a global
Oh,
scale,
yes.
like,
I know what you're talking about.
do I accept this type of behavior or don't I? I mean, it happened like
Right, you
80
have
different
to,
times just in
like,
the
you
last
have
4
to
years.
totally, like, yeah, take a stance almost. Yeah.
Yes, because people want to know that stuff. And I had a really hard time with that because I don't believe anything is black and white.
Never.
I'm of the mindset of like, it's it's shades of gray.
Sure. A lot of
Right.
it is today. Totally. Yeah, I know. I had a listing appointment, a couple days ago, and the seller was so sweet. And at the end of the conversation, she said to me, and I would say this is the most negative thing that happened in the entire, interview, is she said, "You're too good to be true. Everything you're saying is resonating with me. You really listened to what I was saying, beyond my words, and everything that you presented is like over the top. Like, she wasn't expecting she was going to get this incredibly cohesive, luxurious sort of, listing experience.
Yeah.
And that it was like too good to be true. And I thought, like, wow, that is a really, I'd never really heard anybody say that before, but I was like, no, I actually am true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is
Not
it.
too good.
I was like,
It's
this
true.
is the luxury experience for every price point, honey. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
totally, and I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is where I want to be with my business.
And that it was probably a surprising but good sign to be like, okay, how many other experiences has
Right.
this woman and many other people
Yeah.
have had to where they're expecting
Yeah, I
people to
thought it
come
was
in
really
over
interesting.
here
I came in
versus over
second on, like, I was the second person in to interview with her for the listing, and so I know that she had talked to other people, but I don't think the way I bring things to the table is like very different than most, like very more holistic. And a lot of what we had to do for that, and for a lot of people, is you need to unlock like a whole other thing with what. So you're sitting on a bunch of equity. So what?
Yeah.
If you have no idea what your next phase of life is going to entail, then who cares about your equity right now, right? You need to start like doing some things like I had said about putting in new information. You need to start feeding yourself new information so that you can make, I think you have to intentionally bring that about, right? And that's like, you teach that to business owners. I teach these principles to buyers, sellers, investors, different people in my network as well. I think these are like life principles, like being a good business owner, regardless of industry. I think we all think alike in some capacity, and we're helping people, or we wouldn't be doing what we're doing,
I totally agree. Last thing I want to ask you specifically, because I love the small business stuff because that's my, like the marketing, and that's my thing.
Yeah.
In terms of home ownership
Yeah.
and that realm, that's your expertise. What is one, I know this is off the spot. I didn't like
That's
answer
fine.
this question.
Yeah, I love off the spot. That's the best way.
What is one either tip or advice that you wish more homeowners knew
Like right now, specifically?
right now, specifically to what's going on in our amazing.
Yeah. Don't believe the hype.
Okay.
100%.
Explain.
Yeah. There's some great opportunities for buyers right now. There are builders giving like incredible incentives, like pre-built in low rates, like ridiculously low rates that you would be shocked about. There are inspections. There are many things that are kind of coming back into play right now. Yes, there are some hot spots. Okay. We're not talking about the hot spots specifically. We're talking like as a whole. I would say for people, like, don't believe the hype. It actually isn't a bad time to buy if you need to buy. And sellers, it's still a seller's market. It's an inventory, crunch is essentially what we're dealing with. So sellers, start putting in some of that new information, thinking about your next phase in life if you're sitting on a lot of equity, and like take the plunge, because I think like great things can come from like releasing that equity as well, for sellers. So buyers, jump in there, and sellers, start thinking about it.
What's the first step they should do to start that process?
Oh my gosh, call me.
Duh.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
What's the best place that somebody can find out more?
Oh, well, I bring everything online. So Instagram, Facebook, I'm even on TikTok, YouTube,
Do you do
my
any
Ariana
dancing
Luxury
videos?
Homes. There actually might be a video or two on there with my daughter from the pandemic. I won't lie. But yeah, social media and arianaluxuryhomes.com.
Awesome. Love
Yeah.
it. Thanks so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks.